wasn't expecting a crowd like this, I can tell you that. I played in front of a big crowd, but not causing the people I'd never noticed. That could be one of the obvious. I got the 4-wheel drive. And you want me to go back 60 years and talk about what hockey has done for me. Hockey opens doors. So does other sports. And sometimes a person should know when to quit. I didn't get to that. Well, Gwen asked me if I would speak this evening about my hockey playing days and my relationship with the Lord. I grew up on the Domain property, and we had an elementary school we attended. On Sunday, we had Sunday school classes in the same. I did hear about God and Jesus in the Bible stories we were told. But it was many years before I became serious about my relationship to the Lord. My grandmother lived with us at times, and she was often reading her Bible and praying. One evening I sat and talked to her as she was reading her Bible, and I asked her what was in it. Then our talk went around in prayer, and she said to me, if I went to my room and prayed to the Lord in my closet, He would answer my prayers in His time. Well, I did. And I really went into my closet, closed the door, and prayed. That's in Matthew 6:6. If you read the King James Version, it's a closet. You read the NIV, it's a room. I mean, it tells me it's the same thing. But anyway, I did exactly what my grandmother said. I maybe be 14 at the time. I can't remember. But you know, it is you get interested in things. And I love hockey, and I grew up, and we played outdoors for hours at a time, and we all dreamed about being an NHL hockey player. My prayer was, Lord, would you give me a chance to go to an NHL training camp? Forgive me, I did. When I was 16, I played on a juvenile team, and we won the All-Ontario Cup. Won a gold medal in it. I got many medals, and they're all in the drawer. But the real medals I got from hockey is the ones in my shoulder and my hips. I wear them every day. I played junior hockey with the local in the local senior league, and we were sponsored by the Montreal Canadian organization, and I signed a contract with the team. It wasn't for Justin, I wouldn't look at it. But anyway, that was the start of it. During one of those games, I had my head down and ended up in the hospital with a broken collarbone. I was there overnight, and this is when I met Pastor Wood from First Baptist Church. He had been a good soccer player, and we talked sports, and then he prayed with me. Shortly after my prayers were answered, and I went to Montreal Canadian camp and spent 2 weeks practicing to make the Montreal Royals. It was there with several players who would be stars in the Montreal Canadian team for years. They were all my age, and it was very interesting to see them grow. I didn't make the cut and was sent to Boston to play in the senior level. And after 4 weeks, I went to Atlantic City, where I finished the season. We lost the last game to Spokane, Washington. And it was a miscue on our part. We should have won it, but Tough beans. In Atlantic City, we played in a convention hall, and the organ there is one of the largest in the United States, even in the world maybe. I don't think it would fit in here. There's a brochure in the back there, you should read it. That thing has 3,000 speaking pipes, 3 feet by 64, almost 500 horses to make air. It has the sound of 25 brass bands. Better not be anything loose in there. Shortly after my prayers were answered, I went to Montreal training camp and spent 2 weeks practicing with the Montreal Royals. It was there with several pairs, and I've read this, I guess. Montreal Canadiens were team for many years. I didn't make the cut and was sent to Boston and played in the senior level. And after 4 weeks, I went to Atlantic City and I finished the season. It was during my time in Atlantic City I experienced racial prejudice in action. One of our players, Art Dorrington, was black. He was refused service in some restaurants and bars, even with the rest of the team present. Once all the team was except Art, and received the orders from the waiter, and the waiter refused to serve him. We all walked out without paying or eating any of it. The hockey team has to stand together to survive and succeed. And the same is true here in this church. When I came home after the season away, I met Margaret, my wife, my future wife. We started dating and she invited me to church. That's when I met Pastor Wood again. In another 5 years, he would marry us in this church. I still remember the sermon that he spoke on. It was Ezekiel and the dry bones. We got the message plain and clear that those bones were dry and were really dry. God brought new life into those bones, just as he did with you and me. You know, we can sing there, toe bone connect to the heel bone, heel bone connect to shin bone, and knee bone, and so on. Then I know what the rest of it is, but wake up is. That fall, I went to training camp again and decided to stay home and play in the senior league in order to see what would develop in a relationship with Margaret, who was entering grade 13. We would attend the service at First Baptist, but there wasn't much to do on a Sunday afternoon. We'd drive to places like Iroquois Falls and listen to Billy Graham and the Hour Decision. This is when I come to know who Jesus is and what he had done for me. Margaret went to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto and studied nursing for 3 years, and I stayed home for that season. But God hadn't finished, as I found. He could do more than could be asked. I went to training camp the third time. That time at training camp, I requested a team in the Toronto area, and they set me up in Hamilton, the Hamilton Tigers. By the end of the season, there was a recession, so I returned home. God opened the doors for me to obtain my license as a diesel mechanic, and I continued to play in the Mines League. And Margaret had finished her nursing. We were married in this church on April the 14th, 1956. We raised a family of 4 boys and 2 girls, and most of them have accepted the Lord as their Savior. In 1988, attending the Billy Graham Crusade, and we made our public profession of faith in Jesus Christ, although in our hearts we both believed before that. And it was fitting that I took place in the arena, and I stood at center ice to start what become a new life for us. At that time, I asked God to clean my thoughts and my mouth, and He did that too. We came home and were baptized and joined the church. I played my last game of hockey in 1999. Some men from Grace Chapel and other Christians who played together once a week. I went to play and I stepped out of the box and a piece of tape stuck to the bottom of my blade, and I tripped and dislocated my shoulder and broke the piece off the rim. Following surgery in Toronto, I hung up my skates for good. My daughter took them on me. She has them hung up on the wall down there. God was good and granted me the opportunity to play in several hockey teams, different cities. I am thankful for that, but more thankful for my salvation. I am also blessed of having a lovely Christian wife, a supportive family, and this special church family. In fact, all the time. That's it, folks. If there's any questions you'd like to ask.
Hey, I get a hug. That takes a lot of courage. Yeah, if there's any questions,
Yeah.
go ahead.